So this dude was about to hook up with 4 different chicks in the span of a week. This is going to be a longer video, but it's going to be one of my realest videos I've probably ever made. And that guy is me. I was about to have the crib to myself for the weekend, and it took me an hour and a half on Snapchat, a few text messages, and boom, I had it lined up. But I wasn't happy about the idea that I was going to do it. Which is like a weird thing to say nowadays, right? Like the idea that you're going to sleep with 4 women in a week, like that's like some man shit, right? Like I should feel good about that. And so I was trying to journal about it and kind of get a feel for why do I want to do this? The problem is, if you're going to quit something like that, it's because you think there's something better. So as I'm sitting there writing in this book, trying to figure out like, why do I want to hook up? Why am I lining up 4 different girls in the span of a week? I had to really take a step back and be honest with myself and thought like, what was better than just getting laid all the time? You get to talk to a bunch of different beautiful women and sleep with a bunch of girls. It seems great. But what's better than that? The question is objective, right? Anybody's going to have a different answer. But for me, I thought about my dream ideal wife. I visually thought about it too, and this might sound kind of weird, but like long hair, tan skin, blue eyes, has like godly morals, loyal, doesn't have a high body count. And so once I established what I actually wanted for myself in a marriage and a future wife, like my ideal wife, I asked myself, would I trade the hooking up and the hoes and stuff to have that wife? And at least for me personally, the answer is 100% yes. The idea of a loving marriage, raising kids, all of that seems far more interesting to me than just busting a nut. So if I could sit down and objectively see that the alternative of hooking up was something that I preferred, why is it so hard to let go of it? Why is it so hard to stop texting girls and trying to hook up? Why is it so hard to not watch porn? Like, I know the alternative is better, so why aren't I doing it? And so then as I continued to write in my journal, right, I'm trying to figure out how I'm thinking. I need to figure out what was actually making me think that hooking up and having a bunch of girls was important. And what I came up with was it's a little bit of an ego thing, right? Being able to say that I smashed a lot of chicks. Another part of it was like, that's what society pushes. It was interesting to me that I cared about what other people thought and did that much, because in every other aspect of my life, I don't. If you're in self-improvement right now, you clearly have a different type of mindset, right? You're clearly trying to be better than pretty much everybody else. Most people don't care about what they eat and they get incredibly obese, and you eat healthy. Most people think the gym isn't important and they don't go, but you go pretty much all the time. You're chasing your goals, you're chasing higher money, and you're chasing the absolute best version of yourself, and all of that is involved in delayed gratification. Third reason that kind of ties in with the second reason was I was convinced that a real man sleeps with a lot of women, and don't get that mixed up with a lot of women want to sleep with you. And so once I figured out why that's what I wanted, I then had to decide who I really wanted to impress and who I really wanted to live for. And was it hoes and a bunch of orgasms, or God and my future wife? So now I know what I think is more important, and I know what's keeping me and holding me back from actually going after that. So then the third tier to that is, if you know what you want, then you have to figure out how you're actually going to get that. And I know exactly what type of wife I want, and realistically I think it's like anything else, you have to hold yourself to pretty much the same standard. I want that beautiful wife that does everything I want and is loyal and doesn't have a high body count. Is she going to accept a man that just threw his dick around for the last 10-12 years? The answer is probably not. But even deeper than that, there's an exchange when you actually have sex with a bunch of different people. Regardless if you believe in pair bonding and all of that, I'm not here to like, debate that, but it's like scientifically proven that like when you have sex, there's a bunch of chemicals that release into your brain and release into her brain, and it actually creates an attachment to the feeling and the person that you're doing it with. Like, that's scientifically proven, like that happens. Have you ever done a hookup before with someone you didn't like, you just found them attractive, and then afterwards you actually kind of had feelings for them, or you thought you had feelings? That's what I'm talking about. It's a real thing. And I know all the red pill people talk about the studies that show women who have like a body count of 5+ are like 80% more likely to be divorced after like 10 years or whatever. What they don't tell you is in those studies, it pretty much shows the same effects for men. Like, it's not quite as bad, but it's still pretty bad. And I want to be able to have the most maximum deep connection possible I can with my future wife. Not just for myself, but for her, my kids, because even my kids are affected by this. You know how much more likely a kid is to be incarcerated or fail school or drop out or get into drugs or anything like that in a single family household compared to a 2-parent household? It's massive. And I think it's an accountability thing. Just like your body is a direct representation of what you've eaten and how much you've trained over the last like year or two. And I think your sexual history does the same thing that skipping the gym or skipping on your diet does to your body. It's going to have an effect. And I want to be able to hold myself accountable. I haven't fully committed yet, but I think I'm going to go celibate until I get married.